live, which is weird because we usually do Tuesday lives, but we're a day
Yep.
late,
Yep.
and
And we'll be packing a
lots to
lot
get
into
into.
half an hour. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you all for
I,
joining us.
yes. So we want to talk tonight because we only have 30 minutes. So we're going to try to, and this has actually always been our goal to do a 30-minute podcast, but
Yeah.
we're both, especially me, a little long-winded. So that never happens. But we want to talk about this new law that just got passed in California. Craziness going on out there.
Yeah.
We want to touch briefly on the ceasefire announcement that just came out in Gaza or over the Israel's war on Gaza, and then some of the craziness that's going on with Candace and the Charlie Kirk investigation. So,
Yep. So, yeah, we'll start off with the law
yeah,
since I'll just give a quick rundown. Basically, this law prohibits it. Well, it penalizes districts that don't stop teachers
okay,
from being anti-Semitic in school, and it defines anti-Semitic according to the IHRA definition, which, if anyone's ever heard me talk before on this subject, knows includes criticism of Israel and Zionism and various things like that. So this law basically incentivizes schools to punish teachers for anything that deviates from the Zionist line. The people who lobbied for this law were hardcore Zionist groups. And I actually was sort of surprised that Newsom signed it into law yesterday. I thought he might veto it because it's so obviously problematic. In addition to, the teachers like restraining their speech, it's really restricting what students can learn and talk about in the classrooms. It's so heavily biased in favor of Jewish students that I think it raises equal protection
right.
concerns. Like it establishes an anti-Semitism coordinator to monitor schools. It allows people who aren't students or teachers or parents to report incidents. So that just opens the doors to groups like Beitar harassing pro-Palestinian teachers and students by making reports all the time. It's just so problematic. I thought Newsom actually might veto it, but he signed it yesterday, I think because he thought there would be less outcry if it was October 7th, because people would be less willing to criticize this kind of a law. So anyway, I have some plans for it. I will keep you guys posted, but yeah, this is absolutely outrageous law that they're trying to
Yeah.
sort of pass everywhere around the country.
That is really crazy. Isn't part of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism if you say that Jews like don't God didn't give them the land? Isn't there something like that?
Maybe part. So if you accuse the Jews of killing Jesus, that's one. If you criticize Israel while not criticizing other countries, that's another. If you say that Zionism is a racist endeavor, if you if you deny Jewish people's right to self-determination, so that's basically criticizing Zionism. Just things that are obviously protected speech and should be within the realm of political discussion in a free country. It's totally crazy. And actually, what this law does is it adopts Biden's anti-Semitism plan, which refers throughout to the IHRA definition and to like Jews' allegiance to Israel. So, and it's also kind of anti-Semitic because it presumes all Jews have allegiance to Israel, which they don't. So, anyway, yeah, that's just a quick rundown, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about this as I continue working on, my
Wow, yeah.
endeavors.
Yeah, it's always wild to me when I go and I look at that definition because it's so nuts, especially if you like just put it in the context of the amount of criticism that Muslims and even very
Yeah.
often Christians have to endure like all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
The accusations that Christian nationalists are trying to control the whole world and want to control your body, that's like a regular thing that gets thrown out there all the time. And the thing is that there are people who are like hardcore Christian nationalists
Yeah.
who are trying to do that, just like there are Jewish supremacists trying to do crazy things too,
Yeah.
right? And that is an accurate description, and yet one of them is now illegal in the state of California to talk
Yeah.
about, and the other one of course will never be illegal because they will always be the ones that you can demonize. It's always cool
Exactly.
to demonize Muslims and even really Christians in most of especially in these like blue states and whatnot. So it's
Yeah.
just really freaking nuts, and it's I think people are just getting so sick of the double
Well, it's
standards.
also interestingly, I successfully challenged a different law in California that penalized doctors for spreading misinformation about COVID to patients,
Right.
or giving information that departed from the scientific consensus. So California is really a hotbed of just like speech suppression on all sides of the spectrum. It seems like like when people are trying to start a national trend, they'll often begin it in California and see what happens there.
Right.
So that's why we have to, chop this off
Right,
right
yeah. Well,
now.
it's just,
Uh,
like shit lib heaven out there, so it
yeah.
doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Super.
So,
That's really concerning, though, and it's just
it is.
aggravating, right? Like, I'm actually shocked, but again, I think that also kind of just gives you a little hint about Gavin Newsom's future
That's
plans,
what I
right?
was gonna say. This is
Yeah.
about his future plans, I think. And it doesn't really hurt him to sign it if you think about it.
Right.
He curries favor with the Jewish lobby or the Zionist lobby. He knows it's probably gonna fall to a legal challenge, but what does he really have to lose? And I think these
Right.
people still think that the voting bloc is mostly pro-Israel. I don't. I think people like him have
Well,
kind of lost touch with reality.
right. I think something that's really weird is you look at these polls of these Democrat voters. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
6%, six,
Oh, I know.
like a single digit 6% side with the state of Israel. Um,
Exactly.
Supposedly it's really still up there with conservative Republicans, probably the older boomers and whatnot.
Just boomers.
I think when you give them the choice, like, do you have to choose between Palestinians and Israelis, they'll still pick Israel if they're over 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody under 50 conservative, and I think that that's also changing very fast. I think if you gave
Yeah.
boomers the choice, just America and Israel, or America and Palestine, they would all choose just America. I think almost everybody
Yeah.
would, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's very interesting.
it
But
is.
to the next thing, we have this ceasefire. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, good. So yeah, we have a ceasefire. Let's pull up the real quick.
So is this, I wasn't able to check the news right before. Is
Let
this
me
essentially
see.
the 20-point plan?
I think so. It has to get approved by the Israeli cabinet, which means it's, you've still got some hard right wingers. Now, apparently, the minority party has told Netanyahu that they have the votes to make it happen, so he doesn't have to worry about appeasing his coalition. But to my knowledge, they can still dissolve the government. And so I don't know. I'm very skeptical on this. To my knowledge, nobody in Hamas was actually involved in these. They have accepted it, but they weren't actually involved in the
And
negotiations.
I don't think any Palestinians were they?
Right.
Like,
I don't know. I mean,
I
other
don't
than
think so.
representatives of Hamas, I don't know.
I don't think any, like the Palestinian Authority or any other
Yeah.
Palestinian bodies. So this is essentially a bunch of Western and Muslim powers like getting
Right,
together and
Qatar,
carving up the land.
UAE,
Yeah.
I think Bahrain, I think Turkey
Yeah,
was involved.
Turkey,
as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
My dad said one of the things that gave him more hope was actually Turkey's involvement, because it's very rare for them to be involved, and Israel is less likely to stick it to Turkey. That would, they know that might inflame it. But yeah.
I think that Turkey is trying to do that because they want Israel out of Syria, because they want more control over Syria. So I think that that's probably their motivations for that. And we've seen some real pushback in Syria within the own Syrian government. They're like, basically, we've got vultures coming at us from all sides, and we need somebody to. It's really unfortunate there as well. But so yes, let's see. Israel and Hamas agree to the first phase. This is what Trump says. So basically, this has to get approved by the cabinet, and then 72 hours after the cabinet, all hostages must be released. Now, this is all, so presumably that's bodies as well, and that's Israelis. I don't know what the exchange, because again, we know that there are over 3,400 Palestinians who have been taken hostage by the state of Israel after October 7th. None of them have been charged with a crime. We just had the 78th prisoner hostage in Israel, never charged with a crime, who has died in Israeli custody since October 7th. And there's been starved.
There's no timeline for anything except the release of the Israeli hostages. So that means that, as usual, Israel can just get what it wants and then or just do that anyway. Like, it doesn't provide any specifics. These are all like, oh, this nice kumbaya, like, we're going to listen to people. We're going to assemble teams of like Palestinians and Israelis to try to understand each other. Like, okay, sure. And there's no provision for accountability for what Israel has done for investigations, for war crimes tribunals, which I'd be fine with for both sides. Although, like, pretty much everyone in Hamas who is responsible for anything is dead. But, how can we move forward if there's no accountability for the horrendous war crimes that Israel committed?
I don't think that we can ever expect America to do it, but I do think that we could expect. The thing is that I will actually believe that this is real when they allow international journalists in. Until then, it's just bullshit. It's all bullshit. I don't trust them for anything. And like I've said all along, when the international journalists roll in is when the real accountability will start, right? Yeah. So I'm not holding my breath on any of this. I obviously want peace. I just don't. I think
But Israel doesn't. That's the thing. Like, Israel wants the land. They want the land without the people. And they're doing what they have to do to, they now know that they have to appease the international community a little bit. So they're going to do that for a little while, but they're not going to follow through, and they're not going to, they're not going to create conditions that don't lead to this again. That's another thing. Like, when you look at the details of the plan, there's no, even if they follow it, it's like unclear exactly how the border of Gaza will be. Will it be another blockade? Once again, creating the sort of economic strangulation and lack of freedom of movement that I think leads to the rise of terrorists or resistance movements, however you want to look at it. So I just don't, the only way this stops is if the U.S. stops providing support for Israel. As long as Israel knows it can get away with it, it will keep trying to get that land and getting the people off the land.
Correct. Absolutely. So I got it pulled up here. It looks like the details on all of this are extremely vague. This said, so Israel and Hamas again did not speak directly to each other. It was all indirect negotiations. So it's not clear when the ceasefire is due to take effect. We do know that apparently it's supposedly sometime 72 hours after the Knesset or the cabinet approves this ceasefire, which would be at the latest Monday, is what we're told. Everything is just very tentative.
So then they'll kill as many people as they can till Monday, because that's their MO. Just like, what kind of sick army is like, let's bomb. I mean, that's what they did last January. Like, let's kill as many civilians as we possibly can while we still can. I mean, it's just disgusting.
Right. So it says it's believed the deal calls for Hamas to release nearly 50 hostages, living and dead, and for Israel to free the nearly 2,000 Palestinian hostages that it has been holding. As outlined by Trump last week, other key elements of the deal call for Hamas to disarm and give up a future role in governing Gaza, the seaside territory. Israel is expected to keep some troops in Gaza for now, but would eventually remove them as the ceasefire solidifies and peace takes hold. So again, there you go, right there. It's very... it's
no mechanism for accountability for if Israel violates too, which is pretty important.
Right. And of course, once Hamas disarms, then there you go. It's done. It's over, and they'll just drive the people out any way that they can. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see. We'll see what comes. There's obviously nothing that we can do. It's pretty clear that our entire government is owned by this foreign country, and there's really nothing that can be done. It's the grossest thing you've ever seen, right? It's, the subservience. So I don't know if you caught last night, Matt Gaetz was on Tim Pool's
No, I actually saw that, but I've been in work hell, and my toddler is also. He went to bed last night an angel and woke up a demon.
Yeah, it happens like that sometimes. Yeah. Like, what happened to you? What is going on today?
Yeah, the last 24 hours have been a little rough.
Yeah. No, I get it. And so, especially little boys
Yeah.
are rough, man. They're so rough. But then they get older and they're fine. Whereas, like my
Yeah.
daughter now is, she's about to be 13, and she does that now, whereas she was always an angel when she was a baby.
But lying on the floor on her stomach and
Yeah.
pounding her
Yeah.
fists into the carpet.
Yeah,
No, I'm
yeah.
kidding.
Not quite that, but coming down, tears in her eyes, like what just happened? We were fine 5 seconds ago. What is going on?
Sounds similar, yeah.
And so, but so last night Tim Pool's or Matt Gates said on Tim Pool that the first time he went to Israel, that it's so bizarre. He said that they all had name tags with QR codes. It sounded like some shit out of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it reminded me of when I was listening to it. And if a donor, when you're at these donor dinners, if they liked you, they'd walk up and they could scan your QR code
That's so
with
insane.
their phone.
That's so insane.
Yeah.
Could they donate directly through that?
Yeah.
Or, oh
Yep.
my God.
Yep.
That
So
is
these are
so insane. How is that not a FARA violation?
well, because they're all dual citizens, right? We know now that there's 7,000 citizens in Israel who they can make legal donations to. I personally think if you don't reside in the U.S. full
Yes.
time, you should not be
Yeah.
able to donate.
No.
Period.
No.
But yeah, so they can walk up and they can scan your QR code. And I would be very interested to know what was actually on that QR code. Because here's the thing that a lot of people don't know. So yeah, donors are limited giving directly to a candidate, right? So in this election cycle right now, it's $7,000 total. They can give $3,500 for your primary.
Isn't that the amount they're paying for Hasbro?
I know, right? Yeah.
So funny.
But if they're giving to your joint fundraising committee, which if you guys are curious about that, you can go to my highlights. I've got lots of threads written on this. But they're going to give to your joint fundraising committee, right? Well, then they can give you $7,000 and they can give $7,000 to every single person that's on your joint fundraising committee, right? So that's when they can give, some of these people who don't actually need money, right? They're not in swing districts. They don't have super PACs because they're going to win their election no matter what. These people, they get $100,000 to their joint fundraising committee, and then they don't actually have to send that money to the other people on their joint fundraising committee. They can blow it all on operating expenses for that joint fundraising committee. And that is how, friends, you will see people like, James Comer or Jim Jordan, Jim Jordan, who's his district hasn't elected a Democrat since 1938. Okay. Not kidding. That's not an exaggeration. Okay.
Wow.
And he's spending, his joint fundraising committee is spending $3 million every 2 years. And, and it's on private planes and all kinds of stuff. Or, Hakeem Jeffries, same thing. A very safe district. Obviously, he's the minority leader. But this is how Hakeem Jeffries gets to spend $80,000 on Gold Belly deliveries. Gold Belly, if you don't know, just go to it. I didn't know what it was till I went to it, and I found that they have all these gourmet cupcakes from like Paula Deen, or all these like fancy foods that you would see on television. It's like automatic delivery of those. So yeah, so I think in the first 6 months of the year he spent like $80,000 on Gold Belly from his joint fundraising committee. Yeah. So and that's because he went to a party and got his QR code scanned.
Wow. So should we talk about Candace and Kirk?
Yes, crazy stuff going on there. So yesterday, or 2 days ago now, Candace dropped the receipts. Boy, oh boy, did she drop them, all right? And it has been a nutty, 24 hours, 48 hours, really. Because, of course, what we saw leading up to this was Candace telling the TPSA people, stop lying. Charlie was done with Israel. And she said that specifically. She said he was done with Israel. He wanted nothing to do with them anymore. He was sick of their shit. right?
Yeah.
She didn't say that. That's me ad-libbing, but And of course, everybody came out and called her a liar and a grifter. They said, but then you saw some really sick stuff happen, right? You saw people like Josh Hammer, who I detest. I cannot stand that
He's
man.
terrible.
He's just
Yeah.
he's just one of the most vile people on the planet.
Yeah.
And genocidal maniac, by the way.
Yeah.
But so Josh Hammer comes out and he basically, he calls her a liar. He says, no way. Charlie, and here I want to give a direct quote of what he said, because he actually, I was so shocked when I saw this today. He said, it was really quite core to his identity as a Christian, as he is as a spiritual mentor, not just a policy issue for him. His support for the Jewish people and the Jewish state was a core part of his identity. Well, then Candace comes out, and so this is what Josh Hammer is saying. This BS. He wasn't going to leave us. Candace comes out and shows that Charlie Kirk, his last donor, left and said no more. And Charlie Kirk was like, all right, look, I'm not putting up with your shit anymore.
And
I'm
this
not
was from
it.
a group chat on Telegram, I think. Is that right?
No, WhatsApp. It was a WhatsApp group
okay.
chat. There were 7 people in there, including Josh Hammer, as well as Andrew Colbert. And this is the part that I actually think is the most interesting. So he comes out, or basically he loses this last donor. Charlie loses this last donor. He says, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year, because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. This is all to this America Fest, this AmFest, right? That was going on. Charlie had announced the lineup, and he had actually made Tucker Carlson the headliner. He put his face and then Tucker Carlson right next to it. It was a clear order of importance on this flyer. And somebody whose name is blacked out says, Then Charlie says, Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. So he's done.
Yep. And this is 2 days before he was shot, right?
2 days before. 2 days before at 3:54. So that would have been Monday at 3:54. I don't know. I'm guessing it was probably West Coast time, Arizona.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's important. Timing is important as well. But yeah, it's obvious. I mean, he's done it. And we saw from when his interview with Megyn Kelly, he was getting pissed, right? And he said, my moral character is being called into question here. All of the things, right? And
then people said, including Josh Hammer, I think, said the texts were fake. And then
I don't think he said that they were fake. He said it was a lie that he was done.
Yeah, okay. So someone else said the texts were fake.
Oh, a lot of people said that they were fake, but I'm because heavens knows everybody's gonna say, well, Josh Hammer never said that, But Josh Hammer told a plethora of other lies. Okay. And what's really gross too. So anyways, I thought this was funny. So yesterday, Candace drops that Monday night. Andrew Colbert, who is or was Charlie's producer, is now kind of, I guess, taken over on Charlie's show. He comes out and confirms that those are real. Okay?
Was he in the chat?
He was in the chat. He had actually screenshotted. And do you know the reason why Andrew Colbert had made that screenshot? Because when Charlie was killed and the FBI approached him, he was asked to give over any leads, he thought. So
interesting.
His first instinct was to screenshot that I'm done with all the Jewish donors.
Yeah. So, we don't know how Charlie Kirk got how Candace got those texts, do we?
She says that she was actually forwarded those texts by multiple people.
Interesting. Okay.
So, So again, but they're real. They're absolutely. And here's the thing. Josh Hammer knew that these were real. Yeah. She has been saying exactly what was in these texts for a while. There's no way that she would have known when she said, Charlie said he's done.
Yeah.
And Charlie clearly absolutely said, I'm done. Josh Hammer knew that she knew, and he just chose to lie. Like,
Yeah.
just it's in the ease with which these people were lying about this should be very concerning to everyone, right? They weren't
Yeah.
tiptoeing around it. They were just telling bold-faced lies, essentially. And now, of course, immediately they pivoted to how dare you release private
Yeah.
text messages.
Yeah.
As if they haven't been releasing private text messages
Yeah.
of Charlie's for weeks now, right?
Yeah. It's really something. And then Candace is worried about her own safety enough that she actually
Yeah.
wrote a tweet saying that you and Tucker and Max Blumenthal and Dave Smith, I think, and a couple of other people had, you know, would be releasing information if anything happens to her.
Yeah, no, she has a dead man switch, and she's good. She's backed up on it for sure. And God bless her. We all have her back. I'm not afraid at all. We like I always say, we are stereotypical around here as far as Southern houses are concerned. Actually, just got a new revolver. It's so fun. I love it so much. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid. These people, you know, they can threaten us
Yeah.
with all kinds of stuff. Insurrection Barbie today was calling for us to be raided by the FBI. Yeah,
Calling for who?
Well, she called for Candace and others. She said that this was getting out of control with these people, presumably. And she had a screenshot where Candace had tagged me, and then Max Blumenthal, Dave Smith, and all these other people, and so presumably all of us, you know,
right? Because we're not allowed to say things anymore, right?
No, you're not allowed to point out that these people are liars.
Yeah.
You know, they're allowed to literally build alternative universes, right? And that's exactly what they did, the same way they did with the pagers, where they committed mass terrorism there as well, right? Remember, we built an alternative reality. They can come out and brag about all of these things that they do, tricking people and, you know, blowing little kids' faces off when they grab their father's pager, and they just laugh about it. They put their little emoji, their little pager emoji in their thing, and then they just clutch their pearls and feign horror when you say, hey, maybe you actually had something to do with this death too, right? And they're like, how dare you accuse us of doing anything barbaric? Like, really? I mean, you literally have a pager commemorating the largest terrorist attack in human history, all right, in your profile. And you're mad because we thought, hey, I don't know, maybe you guys took that terrorism a little bit farther. Again, Josh Hammer accused Tucker Carlson of being the worst anti-Semite in the history of the United States, which... And to remind you, so Josh Hammer says, I think Tucker Carlson is the worst anti-Semite in the history of the United States. So I said, well, if he thinks that, if he genuinely thinks that, and he said this, I believe it was 3 times in one podcast, and he deadpan, so serious, and I believe that he thinks that. No, the most dangerous anti-Semite in the history of the United States. Most dangerous.
That's even funnier.
Right. I know Tucker Carlson, right? Like the guy that used to wear like the bow ties, right?
Yeah.
And the guy who like routinely says, I love Jews.
I know.
And so he says that. And I said, well, I wonder what he thought of Charlie Kirk giving a platform to the quote unquote most dangerous anti-Semite in the history of the United States.
Yep.
So we'll see. If I get raided by the FBI, I'm calling my lawyer, you.
Well, hopefully they're smarter than that, but one never knows.
So it'll be okay. But no, we're not afraid here. There's lots more that's going to come out. Patience. Candace doesn't owe anyone anything. She can do whatever she wants. She's got plenty of time, and these people are setting their own traps, and this is why they're panicking right now, because they know now that she's willing to put it out there. And the other thing is they have no freaking clue what she actually has. And you can tell by the fact that they didn't double down on anything. Instead, they went to these really absurd, like, how dare you release private messages, right?
That one's so stupid.
Right. Kind of just crazy talk. Only they are allowed to speculate about Charlie's private
Yeah.
talks and feelings, right?
Yeah.
They're allowed to again paint this alternative universe in which Charlie loved Jews and the Jewish state more than anything on the planet,
I
whereas
mean, he
Charlie
might have
was
loved
like,
Jews. That's
I'm
fine.
sure he did. I don't think that Charlie Kirk had any animosity towards Jewish people in general at all.
No.
I do think he was sick of the Zionist politics. I think he was
Yeah.
done with it.
Like a lot of this country.
Right. And but of course, because again, people like Josh Hammer, they absolutely have to wrap Zionism up in Jews, and they have to use the Jewish identity to protect Zionism from criticism. Right. So they're
course.
happy to freaking put Jews out there to take all of the blame and whatnot. They in fact love all of that crap. And again, and that's not to say, obviously, I mean, I know that's a complicated subject and whatnot, but we know what Josh Hammer is doing right now. And Charlie was like, I'm done, actually. I'm actually, if somebody asks me about Israel, I'm going to say, go ask somebody else. This isn't my thing anymore.
Well, it's funny because but you actually sent me that article by James Aburizek. I forgot how his name is pronounced exactly. He's actually the founder of the organization where I work, the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee. He wrote it in 1978, and it was called something like the Relentless Israeli Propaganda Machine or something. And it was about these tactics. And it's like so crazy. You can just transpose that article onto the modern age, just like incorporate social media and like modern technology. And it's all exactly the same operations. Like nothing has changed. It's just that because of social media, more people are aware of the plight of the Palestinians. Right. And so that's changing public opinion rapidly.
Right. Yeah, and there's just really nothing that they can do. And you can tell that they actually didn't prepare for this. And again, I've said this multiple times now, but I think that they don't have any plan for the day after the war ends.
Well, and they're giving Barry Weiss CBS News. So maybe that'll fix things for them.
Oh my gosh, she's so unlikable too. She's just, it's like, it'd be like one thing if she were likable, you know?
Yeah.
Hold on. Where's my twin mama? When Laura Loomer said, even if the messages are real, I figured she got word that they were. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They all knew they were real. They all knew they were real. You can't actually look at any of their old messages where they were. These people were literally, freaking Joel Berry of the Babylon Bee literally said that TPUSA was the new headquarters for Hamas. I'm not kidding you. He said that on September 5th.
That's hilarious.
Right? This is what they thought. You know?
Brett says Zio-Nazis manufacture anti-Semitism. It feeds their agenda and goals. That is absolutely correct.
Yep. And so, they love it. So I try not to feed into that stuff too much because it's really easy to demonize people on all sides when you get into like political discourse, right? It's really easy to like call MAGA people like dumb rednecks. It's really easy to call, Democrats like a bunch of, BLM activists or trans activists or whatnot. There's all these like large generalizations, but these political ideologies, most people, I don't know, Zionism is a little different because, it kind of is attached to an identity. Now, whether or not the people who are part of that identity, whether they actually ascribe to it is certainly different. I think I just saw a new poll that said 60% of American Jews were like, actually, we don't approve of what's going on over there.
I saw that, Which doesn't surprise me. I don't obviously the Jewish people I encounter are probably not representative or that I get to know. But I know so many Jewish people who really, range from are highly critical of Israel to absolutely hate Israel like me more than I do. Right. But anyway, I've got to wrap things up because, But we will be back
we'll be back on Sunday.
At least Sunday,
Yes, I know we're trying to. Janine's got a new job, so she has to get a new thing, and I'm always just insane. You guys can always find me. You know where to find me.
Unfortunately, the Zionist speech control tactics are keeping me busy. So, but we shall be back on
But I'll be
Sunday.
dropping some threads tomorrow. I finally got to work on them today. And good news was also I was in the hair salon today, and it was so funny. I brought it. Thank you. It's a little bit frayed because there's a lot of humidity here right now. But it was so funny. I just brought up the Candace thing, and only my hairdresser knows who I am. Like she knows that, like, you know, that I chat on X with Candace and whatnot. And so she knew, and then we started talking about it. And then it was so funny. There was a bunch of other ladies in there, and they started
Wow.
talking about it and this thing. And I just like to sit back and listen to what people think, you know?
Yeah.
And the normies are coming along really fast.
Wow. Wow.
Really fast. I can tell you that.
Well, we will discuss that and more on the
Yes.
next
And
episode.
it'll be longer
Bye.
next time. So
Yeah.